Hi, and welcome to our monthly webinar series where we discuss a variety of topics that directly influence your business. My name is Charles. I am the Director of Business Development at iTernal Networks. As a heads up, we are going to be muting everyone for the purpose of the webinar, but we do enjoy your participation in our polls and in the Q&A. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat box. There will be a raffle during our discussion, so please stay for the entirety of the webinar. Today's webinar is about how to improve your accounts receivable through automation. I am joined with Michael Cannett, founder of iTernal Networks. Mike, would you like to tell our viewers a little bit more about iTernal Networks and introduce our guest speakers?
Yes, I'd love to. Thanks for joining us today. And just to let everybody know, we are recording this. We'll be sending it out afterwards for those that couldn't attend, or if you want to go back and watch it again and catch something maybe you missed. So as Charles said, I'm Michael Cannett. I'm the founder of iTernal Networks. I founded it almost 12 years ago. And what a 12 years it's been. It's been quite the ride. But we founded iTernal Networks with the idea of helping businesses improve their technology and helping it to improve helping technology improve their business, right? So we want to take care of everything so that business owners and employees can focus on what they love to do, which is run their business. They don't want to have to deal with all the technology and other things. And one of the things that we love to do is help to add automation or add processes and procedures that can, dramatically impact the bottom line of the business. Whether it's improved productivity, whether it's employee morale, or any of those other things. And one of those things that we can help automate is accounts receivable. We've been using Ryan and his team, I don't know, probably for at least 10 years, 10, 11 years. It's been a while. And not too long ago, they decided to branch out from our industry and to provide similar services to all industries. So we're happy to have Ryan and Chris from Rev by ConnectBooster here on our webinar this month. They're going to be talking about their solution, their service, and how it can improve accounts receivable for your business. So we're excited to turn some time over to them.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. I am also going to share my screen because I have a deck that I want to share with you guys as well to go through the process. But as Michael had mentioned, for many years we had focused working with businesses in the IT service provider space, helping them reduce accounts receivable, create efficiency around that process. And one of the things that we had learned, and it was really through the genius of our partners and clients like Michael and team on hey, I have all of these other business types that I service, and they deal with the same type of problems that you guys helped us solve. And so, we started to get tactical with that and said, well, why would we go to the open market and start talking about our solution to all other service-based type businesses versus getting real specific and working through the individuals and the businesses that have been so good to us and we've worked together. So that's really the foundation of the program. So if you like what you hear today, I would encourage you to reach out to Michael and team to engage in a discussion with us, because that's really how we engage with the open market, and businesses like you are through our clients and your service provider at iTernal Networks. So I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to get this spun up, and we'll start talking about the ever sexy subject of accounts receivable. I know that's funny to say, but I think you guys are going to be excited because cash flow is king, right? Cash flow is it's like the lifeblood of the business, just like the lifeblood inside of us. And when it's not flowing right, bad things happen real quick. So I'm going to talk about how we fix problems and create solutions around making that cash flow seamlessly inside of your businesses. So let me get this up for you. Share this screen and start the slideshow. I'm gonna flip this around for you guys. Cool. That look clean on everyone's end? Awesome. So the guy said, especially Charles, you had done a really nice intro on what we're here to talk about, how to improve your accounts receivable through automation. Again, thank you again for the intro. My name is Ryan Goodman. I'm the president and co-founder of not only ConnectBooster and Rev, but if we take a step back and move up a level, We're the founders of a company called B&G Team. And so we've been in the electronic payments industry since 2005. ConnectBooster is one of the products and intellectual products that we own and have created. So when you're talking to our team, this isn't a product that is something that we found, white labeled and are reselling. Our team is also here in-house, in office. So it's a product that's natively driven from the problems that we've seen business owners over the long tenure of being involved in helping business owners accept payments into their business. And so again, I'm excited to dig in. I'm going to give you a little bit of a high level about ConnectBooster as a product itself. So ConnectBooster as a product is trusted by over 2,000 service-based businesses across the US and Canada. If we back up a step, B&G as a payment processing entity has over 5,000 customers across the US. So we certainly are used to scale and service a lot of businesses just like yourself all over the nation. We're a payments and accounts receivable automation tool, and we integrate to the core accounting packages that you guys already use to run your business. And why that's important, we're not in the business of trying to radically change how you're creating an invoice for your client or adapt workflows that are working for your business. What we're doing is we're going to talk about adding a whole other layer of automation on top of those core business tools that doesn't exist for you today. And so we integrate with QuickBooks, Sage Intacct, the Microsoft suite of accounting products, which are GP and Business Central. And the real value prop is helping you guys remove friction, really helping you remove sometimes the walls that you as business owners inadvertently put in front of your clients to give you money. And that interrupts cash flow, and that can result in aging AR, which is detrimental to the business. From a volume standpoint, we process a lot of payments out there in the community, and we're an organization that's also focused on growth and quality for our existing partners and customers. So the 4 key business challenges that I want to address today are, we had talked about it, aging AR. I've never heard aging accounts receivable is king inside of my business. That's just a weird statement, but cash is king inside of your business, right? Cash flow is king. I have never made payroll because I had a really high accounts receivable balance. I mean, a weird thing to say, like you go to the bank, right? And you're like, oh, that's an asset on my books. I mean, my accounts receivable is an asset. It's money that's owed to me. But, maybe you could get a loan because you have that asset, but you're not going to be able to make the loan payment with aging AR, right? You need cash in the bank for that. We're going to talk about strategies to take that and move it from a line item on your balance sheet to actual usable cash inside the bank for the business and for your business to grow. Now, there's a lot of individuals, and there are people that might be on this call and might be listening to this, and you're going to say, hey, I actually have a really good accounts receivable process. Like my aging days and AR are under 30 days, which is pretty solid for a service-based business. Part of the conversation that we're going to have today is I would argue that you probably spending too much time and cost then running that process to have your accounts receivable down that low. And one of the issues, in business, you're either growing or dying. And guys, let's be honest. I mean, we all want to grow. Scaling out your business and having a process that's efficient and implementing automation is going to reduce the overall cost and drive profits to the bottom line by implementing automated solutions in a process that may be good right now in terms of the numbers, but it's costing you in labor and time. And we can accomplish more and allow your business to scale through the implementation of automation keep that accounts receivable balance low and not have to bring in other humans down the line. You know, we're all expensive. We're all humans on this call, right? And we are expensive resources, and accounts receivable is not the place where you should be having to add and scale manually through human labor. And so again, we're going to talk about the automation piece, and then that's driving productivity, you know, and that's just time to do a task, right? And time is one of those very, very valuable assets. We can always make more money and fix mistakes in the world of money. When time is gone, it's done. We don't get to produce anymore. So this is one of those tools and one of those conversations that we want to make sure that we're protecting that really, really valuable asset for you and your team members. So let's dig into cash flow. I don't want to get into too many, high level statistics, but the fact of the matter is, this is research done through a US bank study and Barclaycard research, and it's all quite recent. The fact of the matter is business can be hard, right? We're all entrepreneurs. Any good old entrepreneur has those stories of struggles or the close calls, or maybe this is your second or third iteration, in business. And, the success rate is tough over a long period of time. And 82% of the time, poor cash flow was a major contributor to business failures. The one that I think is even most concerning, because it deals with that work-life, quality of life balance that we all struggle with as entrepreneurs. I'll raise my hand on that as well. I do as well. But 63% of business owners admit cash flow concerns keep them up at night. And that is a quality of life effect. And I'm here to say, there's not a piece of software, there's not a process that's going to make everything perfect, but we can get damn close in this process for you guys. So let's dig into some of the fixes, because I know I could talk to you guys literally for 2 hours, and I want to keep this really, really high level and engage with the iTernal team and engage with us. But let's talk about some of the ways that we can fix these problems inside of the business. So fixing aging AR and cash flow issues, one of the things that I have found throughout my experience in this space and working with thousands of businesses, we had talked earlier about the unintended walls that businesses can often put between their customers giving them money. And one of those is 24/7, 365 access. Does your business have the ability, does it have the capability to accept money from your customer at any time as a service-based business? Can it accept a payment from a customer Christmas Eve, 11:59 at night, without human intervention? So one of the features of ConnectBooster is the ability for you to offer up an online bill pay portal for your end clients that they can go in and view their invoices, view their payment methods, add payment methods, whether that's a credit card payment method or a checking account payment method inside of that portal, get a view of payment history, and actually give you money 24/7, 365. That's one of those first barriers that you've got to clear out of the way. If you don't have the ability to accept money at any time without a person being involved, that's a hindrance to your cash flow, and that's a direct deterrent to getting your business to a point where aging accounts receivable is a thing of the past inside of your organization. The next thing I want to talk about is auto pay. Now, that sounds like, oh, that's very self-explanatory, right? Getting paid automatically, auto pay. But one of the things that you may not, or you may have a recurring revenue type business, but auto pay, that doesn't mean you have to have a business where there's recurring revenue. What auto pay means is, do you have net terms with your client on an invoice? Have you had an expectation where you send out an invoice and your invoice says due on receipt, or it says net 15 or net 30? Well, that represents an understanding or an agreement that should have been established between you and your customer. And whether that's a product, whether that's a service, whether that's a recurring service, whether that's a quarterly type of engagement, you can utilize features inside of our product to set a trigger to auto pay any invoice type that's created from your invoice package. So, let's just use net 30 as a common invoice term. you can set an auto pay rule against that net term type, or a dollar amount threshold, for example. And this is on a per client basis. So you can get very tactical. If you have a network of many different clients, you can set up different auto pay rules for each of those clients and invoice types to ensure that you're getting paid based on the agreement or net terms you have established together on that invoice and in that business engagement relationship. So ConnectBooster is a tool that is very flexible with how your business works and how you invoice and how you utilize your accounting packages to send out invoices, where we can actually create automation on any invoice type to ensure that you get paid, as long as those expectations are set with your customer. And you'll see a line item, I'm skipping down one, it says set expectations. There's a mindset here that I want to make sure that you guys are understanding. Do you deserve to get paid for the work that you do for your clients? Absolutely, you do. The next question is, do you deserve to get paid on time for the work that you do for your clients? I agree, absolutely true. And if you believe that, or if you don't believe it, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy inside of your organization. And so what I want you to do is flip inside of your mind the fact that you are going to have a money conversation with every single one of your clients. What side of the equation do you want to be on when that money conversation happens? Do you want to set expectations in the engagement and sales process with a client when they're coming on board and they're getting used to what doing business with you might look like, or what that project might look like, or what the service that you're going to provide? I argue that's one of the best places to have that money conversation. So you're setting proper expectations to utilize and show them the ability to use online bill pay, to expect that a payment is going to come out of their account against the invoice based on the net terms that you guys have established. And to be able to execute on that, you need to be able to set proper expectations. Now, I could do a whole other webinar on how we set those expectations. And those are things, if you have questions on that, our team would love to engage with you and help you out and help you define what those processes look like. So I'm not just going to say it. If there's interest there, we will help you with putting together a game plan to do that with your client base. The other thing, I'm going to move back up one now to Pay Now. This is a way that you can utilize our services where every invoice that's sent out, there's just a little simple tab where they can click. It's almost like making a payment at the grocery store, right? It's a point of sale. There's no forced login to engage with a customer portal. They can make a payment on the fly. And the automation, I'm going to talk about that next, is still intact, even though there wasn't a login. Okay, so it's again removing the barriers that often are in front of clients to give you money, and that is 24/7, 365 access. That's controlling your cash flow through a form of auto pay, and there are many forms of auto pay and can be scaled down and catered on a per client basis. A Pay Now, which is an instant, like I saw the invoice, I can click a button, make a payment immediately, and then setting proper expectations to execute upon those strategies. Now let's go in and talk about automation. And if you have a good process in place where your aging accounts receivable is actually in a good spot, here's where I say, I think you're probably just paying too much money, especially if you're a business that's growing and looking to scale. Eventually you will cross that transition point where the individual in my office that's doing this is being overworked and I need to bring in another individual, which adds a cost, or I add a minimal cost in software and automation to accomplish the same thing. And so again, auto pay is one of those areas where it's automatically collecting dollars inside of your business. But the next phase of that is the ability to take all payments that are made through our product, tie back to an invoice inside of accounting. So every payment associated with payments that go through our system are there. There's an invoice that's available to be paid because there's an invoice that exists in accounting. And we take that payment and we map it to the invoice, eliminating that manual labor of saying, okay, I've got a report of my credit card payments or my ACH payments that went through the bank, and now I've got to go make sure I reconcile those and receive them inside of accounting or inside of QuickBooks. We do all of that automatically for you. We map the payment that was intended to be paid. And if that was multiple invoices that are made in a single payment, each of those dollar amounts is tracked to the invoice that was intended to be paid. If it's a partial payment, that's tracked to the invoice where it will modify the remaining open balance available to be paid, but it will put that payment and reconcile it against the exact invoice. So that's a really powerful, scalable automation that we provide to business owners. The other part of this is the automation around access and getting this out to clients and getting clients on board. You know, you're going to have your typical 80-20 where you're going to have 20% of the client base that's like, oh, cool, new, exciting. I'm used to like the one-click Amazon type stuff. You're going to be able to offer that same type of experience to your client, but getting them onboarded, there's a lot of automation in terms of like welcome emails, past due notifications coming out of the system that engage with your clients, not only to drive a smooth collection process if things happen to go past due, but every one of those notifications that comes out of the product has a call to action to actually engage with the portal and set up a user account. So the beautiful thing is there's a whole lot of automation that you can take advantage of, even if someone didn't have a user account. You know, I had mentioned those past due workflows that are automatically going to go out. So you're eliminating the phone calls that have to be made to collect on past due bills, monthly statement notifications that can be automated out of our system. So you're not doing that. And when questions come in around bills that are past due, or maybe someone has a question on where a payment is applied, you now have the ability to drive them through that 24/7, 365 portal. You can show them and train them where they can access that information. So over the course of time, your client base gets used to that type of experience, and it reduces questions that can easily be answered through self-engagement instead of you guys doing the busy work. And what that ultimately does, it allows the accounting and accounts receivable department in general, no matter the size, either you, if you're a small business, sometimes that means getting a Saturday back. If you're a large business, it means not having to add as much staff as you grow or scale the business. And so we work with business sizes from single operators up to thousands of employees and scale really nicely in between. And so to highlight the graphic here, the results are 74% of our users are reducing their aging AR by at least 30 days as they get through what I always say, a 90-day onboarding process. So it takes a couple hours to onboard, but you know, adopting any new technology, there's always that 90 days of getting used to it new. And then it's like, oh yeah, that feels like my favorite pair of pants that I put on in the morning, you know? You're used to it. It takes that 90 days of getting new. And so the results are phenomenal. And when we look at what that means in terms of cash flow for the businesses, that is driving true cash into the business to be used for growth and the growth levers that drive your business. And so I'm gonna wrap up here. If you're ready to learn more, please engage with your iTernal Networks team, because you know they're going to be that point where they're going to direct you to our team, where we can do a discovery call together, engage together, and find out where those places are that we can engage to help your cash flow seamlessly into the future.
Thank you, Ryan. And I want to answer some questions that we have from our users.
Yeah.
But first, let's reveal the winner of today's raffle. The winner is Elaine. Elaine, we will connect with you via email after the webinar. Congratulations. So now let's get to some of the questions from our viewers. Now, if we are unable to answer any of your questions during the webinar, we'll be responding via email as well. So first question, how long does it take to implement a solution like ConnectBooster?
Yeah, that's a great question. So from signing off on the quote, making a purchasing decision, to getting the accounts up and running and we do with your iTernal Networks team a full like white glove onboarding, like spin up the integrations with you, test it, make sure you understand how to use the system. I mean, any piece of software that you buy, if it's not being used, it's useless, right? And so we're going to walk you through that process. I always say it's about a 2-week from decision to being able to use it, but the actual implementation part is a 2-hour call, and you're going to be integrated. You're going to be up and running. All of your payments accounts associated with this will be established and ready to deposit into your bank account. And at the end of that 2-hour call, you are going to be ready to use this tool. And again, in terms of back-end support, that's all you can eat through us. So we have a working relationship with the iTernal Networks team, and that's a part of our service together. So you will engage with those mutual relationships. And any questions that you have in the future, whether that's product utilization or something that you want to relearn, we have those resources available, and you will be taken care of. The most important thing is after the sale and after the implementation, any questions that come up, you will be supported through that process.
Yeah, and I can vouch for Ryan's team as well. We've been using their product for years, and anytime there's any question that comes up, even if it's something that they've answered for us multiple times, they very patiently go through it and walk us through the process and make sure everything's working exactly how it's supposed to. They've been phenomenal to work with.
Appreciate that.
I'm gonna skip a couple questions down just because this one's related. What integrations do you most commonly see with your clients?
Yeah, great question. So if we take a step back and just look at accounting, QuickBooks, between their desktop versions like QuickBooks Enterprise, QuickBooks Pro, and then their online versions, and we integrate to all of them, so there's no issues with what you're running. I think they have like an 80% market share of the small to medium-sized business in the US. So that's the primary integration that we integrate to. So that is by far the most common, and it is the core most important integration, because that's ultimately where the invoice lives, right? And where the invoice is created. So that is one of the tried and true and a large part of our customer base. That's the integration.
Awesome. Here's an interesting question. What is the percentage dollar reduction in accounts receivable from using an automated platform? I guess the question is more so what can be expected from as a percentage dollar reduction from implementing a service like yours?
Yeah. So if you think about reducing aging AR, 74% of users getting under that 30 days or reducing by 30 days. So think about where your accounts receivable is today. Are you being paid 15 days beyond the due date? And that due date is really driven from your net terms, right? So if you issue an invoice on the 1st and you give them net 30, an invoice isn't past due till it crosses that 30-day mark, and then it's 1 day, 2 day, 5 days, past due. So if you're consistently inside of that 30-day mark, auto pay, if you have maybe a 5-day gap where maybe you invoice on the 1st, your terms are net 30, or you move them to net 5 and it's paying on that day, essentially your receivables are at 0 days aging. And we have a lot of companies that operate like that, whether that's their recurring revenue or they've set up their project revenue to fall true to their net terms that they've agreed with clients. We did a study early on because I was very curious, right? This product was originally created for ourselves, funny enough. We got into a service-based business, point of sale, and we were not used to accounts receivable. We were so used to in the payment space being paid automatically. We're like, oh my gosh, we have $50,000 that people owe us, and we already paid for the equipment. This is horrible, right? And so we were looking for systems, and we were in payments. We're like, yeah. But we needed stuff that integrated to our accounting package. And so I wanted to do a study in our first 100 customers when we first boarded that first 100 many years ago, what the result was. And the average was those clients were being paid 48 days beyond due as service-based businesses. And after 6 months of using our product, that same average was 1.4 days. So significant reduction. Now, does this happen overnight? No, but implementing best practices and utilizing the automations in the product to engage with your customer base, that result becomes really, really impressive over time. But think about a 30-day shift and getting your cash 30 days faster than what you're used to. That is realized by 74% of users. And you know that other 25 is seeing an improvement as well. I just don't necessarily have a good grasp for you on what that is, but.
I have a question that I kind of want to know based on just what we discussed. So when you do the implementation, is there some consultation that is involved with that as well, or is it mostly just onboarding? Okay, great.
There's a lot of it where we like to talk about best practices, because again, software is just software. Right. The ability to utilize it to its best ability. We could, in all honesty, we could really spin up the integrations inside of 15, 20 minutes and have someone off and running. But, our retention rate is really a derivative of good support post-sale and getting someone ready to use the product effectively from the get-go, and then being able to build upon some of the cool stuff that the product does over time to continue to get more benefit out of the software.
Makes a lot of sense. So I do need to wrap up. Let's say we're coming up on our time here, actually a little bit over. But this was great, and it looks like we covered a majority of the questions that were asked.
Great.
I want to thank everyone for joining us. You will be receiving an email for a follow-up consultation, as well as a link to this recording, and that will all be in the email. You can learn more about ConnectBooster by visiting our website and scheduling a consultation with one of the experts here. If you have any questions about this topic, or you want any advice about your company's accounts receivable, you can follow that link to in our website or in the email to schedule a strategy session with us.
Awesome.
So let's plan on meeting next month for our monthly webinar, and I want to thank everyone for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.